So in this segment, we're going to be talking about a leaked letter from Liz Truss, the Trade Secretary. And so there are reasons why Liz Truss leaked this letter, and those are things I'll get to towards the end of the video. But Labour demanding an explanation to this, and I think Dominic Cummings is as well. And Liz Truss probably not going to say anything, but this is the gang right now. Explain, explain, explain. And yeah, sorry, I found that funny, and I apologise for not doing a video yesterday. I'm just not been feeling very well. So, anyways, before I ramble on, let's dig into the details. So, Liz Truss's letter. So she starts here, "Dear Rishi and Michael." That's Michael, just in case anyone was wondering. I am writing to you. Set out my key areas of concern on border policy risks and readiness for the end of the transition period, and to seek your assurance that these concerns will be addressed. This letter comes in advance of the border operating model publication on the 13th of July, so we're way past that. This letter is 11th of July, so it's a bit older, but it's important to talk about, and it's not because I've been lazy and not done videos. So where the UK's proposal for the border will come under renewed scrutiny, both on the domestic and international stage. My key concerns outlined below are the staged approach and WTO challenge. So this one might be one of the most important points in this letter. There's only there's about 4 points here. So it's important we look at each one and try and assess it as best as I can, despite me being a monumental buffoon. So the staged approach to the staged approach and WTO challenge. So when we exit the transition period, the UK will be vulnerable to a WTO challenge regarding its border regime. This is specifically relevant concerning the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol and the application of the staged approach. These measures could significantly impact the UK's reputation at the WTO, and I would appreciate your assurances that full border checks for EU GB goods will be implemented no later than July 2021. So these checks should be realistically implemented. They should have been implemented as soon as we left the EU, so we don't fall foul of the WTO and member states of the WTO, which is something I'm going to talk about just in a minute. And so just finishing this paragraph here, I would also like to underscore that when there is a risk of legal challenge at the, I should say a legal challenge really, or legal challenges, come on Liz Truss, at the WTO, departments are responsible for mitigating the risk and for funding the cost of any defensive trade dispute brought against their measures. Given this risk, I was pleased to hear that following the XO meeting last Friday, what does XO mean? It was decided that the temporary waiving of export declarations will not be included in the publication. I would want to be a part of any discussion to revisit this, either with reference to the publication or plans thereafter. So what's important to talk about here is the fact that the UK are dropping plans for border checks on EU goods. So what that means is goods that potentially that are coming in from the EU may not be checked, and that could be goods that we don't have a tariff on, or goods that we do have tariffs on but we can't actually check because we don't have the border capabilities. And why this is an issue is because trade. This is about the WTO. What was it called? The favourable nations thing. So basically, you can't treat one WTO member better than another WTO member unless you have a deal in place. So, for example, if you don't check goods coming in from the EU, that means you cannot check goods coming in from, say, the US or China and those other countries. And so the most favoured nation, MFN, treating other people equally, or countries in this case, under the WTO agreements, countries cannot discriminate between their trading partners, grant someone a special favour such as a lower customs duty rate for one of their products, and you have to do this for the same for other WTO members. So this is mute if you have a deal in place, but if you don't have a deal in place, then you cannot discriminate with things like tariffs and border checks. So what we can see is the UK can't do full border checks. Why? Because you don't have the capabilities for it. Because these idiots, they didn't do it. They didn't put the work in. It's fine if you want to go for something as ambitious as Brexit, whatever, I'm still against it. But if you're going to do something that ambitious, that goes against, the trading norms since we joined the EU, then you have to go big and you have to be able to plan. There's no planning with these guys. So controls at the border. I recognise that this is Liz Truss again, I recognise that there are challenges to delivering tariff declaration systems on both EU and rest of the world imports, but to ensure we can develop appropriate handling plans for national and international stakeholders, it is essential that my department has a clear view of operations delivering plans. Lol, you want a clear plan? You shouldn't have become a minister then. This is also particularly important for controlled goods at those EU-facing ports where the infrastructure to implement controls does not currently exist, which is absolutely right on. Given the legal, reputational and security risks, I would like assurances that we are able to deliver full controls at these ports by July 2021 and that plans are in place from January to mitigate the risk of goods being circumvented from ports implementing full controls. And so that's important, and we'll talk about that one at the end. But basically what she's saying is you have to guarantee me that we're going to have checks in place by 2021 July. So essentially in a year's time, that you have to have these checks in place. As a tariff assessment and collection, I have some further concerns about tariff collection due to the staging in approach, especially around the increased likelihood of circumvention, where rest of the world traders, so row traders, not rogue, row, just in case anyone mishears that one, because they sound similar, traders could import their goods via the EU. This would undermine the effective operation of our trade policy. So let me just read that one again. I have some further concerns about tariff collection due to the staging in approach, especially around the increased likelihood of circumvention where rest of the world traders can import their goods via the EU. This would undermine the effective operation of our trade policy as well as create significant handling difficulties with negotiating partners. For example, it might lead to remedy tariffs being circumvented due to a lack of checks at the border in addition to impacts of TRQs. I'm not sure what that means. I therefore would like firm assurances that mitigation against such risks are in place. Further, I'm seeking assurances that tariffs on goods from the rest of the world, specifically from countries where the trade agreement's continuity program applies, will also be payable from the 1st of January and will be collected within 1 month, as is currently the case. So I think what this one is talking about, I'm not 100% sure, and if anyone wants to clarify in the comments, please do so. She's talking about, say, if a country that we don't have a trade deal with, say China might be a bad example, say Japan, for example, wanted to import goods to the UK and they want to avoid tariffs in the UK. So what they do is they import through the EU. They say this product's going to Spain, but in actuality it's going to the UK. So because we don't have checks from EU countries, they'll smuggle it through Spain into the UK, for example, or through France, if that makes sense. And so Northern Ireland Protocol risk. So I understand that the digital delivery of the dual tariff system, both EU and UK tariff in Northern Ireland, is a high risk and is at high risk. Like, what is going on with the grammar here? You know, I didn't write this letter. What is this? And that HMRC are planning to apply the EU tariff as a default EU tariffs. Like, huh? Like, you're a minister. Why can't you write English properly? As a default to all imports in Northern Ireland on January 2021. This is very concerning as this may call into question Northern Ireland's place in the UK's customs territory. Failure to deliver the UK tariff digitally in Northern Ireland would have political, legal and reputational risks. I am keen to see HMRC and BPDG delivery plans, specifically on how both the UK and EU tariff will digitally implement, including detailed mitigations where there are risks to delivery by January 2021. These plans should also include details of when commodity code divergence will be delivered for the whole of the UK. As we fast approach the end of the transition period, we need to ensure that the UK border is effective and compliant with international rules, maintaining our credibility with trading partners and WTO and with business. I encourage the continued close cooperation of officials in our departments to achieve this. I am copying this letter to the Home Secretary. Our Brexit Insider Facebook group is the best place for up-to-date news and analysis about from the EU, direct from that's from Business Insider. Whoops. And so that's why the letter ends there. So basically, she's doing this because she's doing this to cover herself, because what's going to happen is when it comes to negotiating an EU trade deal, because she's still the Minister for Trade, the EU are going to say, look, we don't need a trade deal with you because you're already giving us tariff-free access. So why should we do a deal with you? And that will go doubly with other rest of the world countries. Say, for example, if they can just smuggle their goods in, why would they give us a trade deal? Do you see what I'm saying? And there's that, and also the point of we can get sued by WTO. The question we need to ask ourselves is, who's going to get sued by WTO members? Them looking at the UK, because it's going to happen. Members, because of the favourable nation thing. So because we're giving the EU favourable access, we can get sued for that by potentially by other WTO members. And so why the UK, the UK tried to say, we're not going to check goods coming in from the EU, so I hope the EU reciprocate this. The EU get lost, because the EU also know they would get sued. The EU also know they'll get sued, and we're not doing this from a position of strength to say, we're doing you a favor here, do us a favor. We're doing this. Oh, we can't do this thing, but we kind of are doing you a favor. So surely you can sort us out, and that's why we're doing this. But going back to the actual letter, why Liz Truss is doing this, because to cover herself, because when these deals don't come in, she's going to be the one that people are going to say, why can you get these deals done? And Boris will be like, well, we're such a great country. Obviously, it's not the country's fault. It's the trade minister, even though I chose the trade minister. So yeah, Liz Truss here, covering herself because she knows she can get thrown under the bus, and she was a Remainer, I believe.